What's up guys, Syiler here, and we are back taking another look at the level 100 talents coming in Warlords of Draenor. And remember, these are all subject to change and most likely will change, as these are very early previews into the expansion, but they give you an idea of what we can expect to see. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Druid talents. So the first up is Touch of a Loon, and for balance, Sunfall. Passive, entering Sunfall Eclipse will transform your Starfall spell into Sunfall and reset its cooldown. So you go from a Lunar Eclipse, you pop Starfall in that Lunar Eclipse, and then when you get to the Solar Eclipse, your Sunfall or Starfall will reset and become Sunfall. So it just allows you to use it sort of more often in a fight. Sunfall obviously does the AoE damage, but it's unpredictable. So that'll be useful just for, I don't know, if there's a bit of cleave in the fight. That's where you'll most likely use that talent. Feral Lunar Inspiration. Passive. Moonfire is now usable while in cat form, generates 1 combo point and costs 30 energy. So that gives Feral a passive sort of dot. Going to be great for sort of those fights where we want to do some multi-dotting. You can get up a Rake, get up a Moonfire, and you're doing a bit of more cleave damage. And it also generates a combo point, so it's definitely worth the 30 energy. Guardian of a Loon, a 1.5 second cooldown, instant, requires bear form, instantly converts up to 60 rage into a 5k absorption shield for 15 seconds. Replaces Frenzy Regen though. So Frenzy Regen at the moment takes your rage and converts it into HP. Now that's good, but the problem is sometimes you use it and you've just got a heal and then you've just wasted your rage, which could have been used for something else. Now with this, no matter when you use it, you've always got that 5k absorb shield, and depending on whether it stacks and how much 5k actually is in the new expansion, seems like quite a nice defensive cooldown for the bears. For Resto, Moment of Clarity passive. Omen of Clarity now lasts for 5 seconds instead of 1 cast. So instead of just using Omen of Clarity on one spell, you have 5 seconds to do as much spelling as you can in that 5 second period. So you want to go ham and make sure you make the most of those 5 seconds. So it will take a lot more management, and you will need some form of proc or alert to say that you've got it, and then make the most of those 5 seconds, plan around having that. But overall seems like quite a decent talent for Resto as well. For the next talent, Will of Malfurion. For balance, Zenith Channeled. Targets all enemies within 60 yards and accelerates the caster's Moonfire and Sunfire effects, causing them to deal damage at 400% of the normal rate for 4 seconds. So basically, say you've multi-dotted 5 targets, you use that, they're all now dealing 400% more damage for the next 4 seconds. So it's great for fights where you want to be multi-dotting and, there's like 5 targets alive and you want to really make the most out of your multi-dots. Now it doesn't say what the cooldown on that spell is. It doesn't seem to have one, so maybe you can just cast it over and over again, so those Moonfires and Sunfires could have, 400% damage for the whole duration. If there's enough targets out, then that could be definitely more worthwhile than just single targeting into one of them. Feral Bloody Thrash, passive Thrash now also spreads Rake to other damaged targets or enemies. So that's going to be great for sort of cleave fights and multi-dot fights as well. For Feral, makes it a lot easier to spread your diseases, so your bleeds. Instead of having to Rake, tab target Rake, now you can just Rake, Thrash, and now all targets have Thrash and Rake. But remember, they will need to be close enough for the Thrash to spread the Rakes. So that'll be situational, but, quite a welcome talent. Guardian Malfurion's Tenacity, passive increases your armor by 200% of your agility. So this is quite an interesting talent. I mean, it's passive, first of all, you gain armor for free. Great, means you'll take less damage overall, all the time. And it could make agility a lot more viable. I mean, at the moment, most Guardian Druids are gemming for crit, because crit causes your melee, when your melee attacks crit, you gain rage. Rage can be used for damage, or for a savage defense, or for a frenzied regen. So crit ends up being a lot more beneficial. I mean, it gives you damage and it gives you survivability. It's a win-win sort of stat at the moment. But that could move agility up to being a lot more viable. I mean, agility will give you then damage, armor, crit, and dodge. So it will make agility, a lot more viable. Restoration, Germination. I think that's how that's pronounced. We'll go with that, Steve. Passive Genesis now also extends rejuvenation by 1 second after hasting it. Now, I don't play and have never played a Resto Druid, so I can't really comment on how good that is. but by the looks of things, I don't know what Genesis is, so I can't really comment on how that will affect the Resto playstyle, how good it is and where it will be used. So I do apologise for that, but I've literally never touched a Resto Druid. But, you know, it seems pretty cool. You're getting a second on your rejuves. Seems cool, bro. Might of Malfurion. Balance. Passive Lunar and Solar Eclipse now lasts until the other is triggered instead of ending at 0 balance power. That seems crazy. That seems an absolutely crazy talent. So basically, you go from a Lunar Eclipse, blah blah blah, Lunar, bam, straight into a Solar Eclipse. There's no downtime anymore. You don't use your Solar Eclipse, go to 0, move to Lunar Eclipse, go to 0, move to Solar Eclipse. It doesn't work like that with that talent. You go from a Lunar Eclipse to a Solar Eclipse, so there's no downtime in between your eclipses. Seems like quite a strong talent for single target. Feral Savagery, passive. Savage Roar is now passive, so you no longer need to worry about keeping Savage Roar up. Savage Roar is the shout, basically, that uses combo points and gives you increased melee damage, I believe, or increased physical damage. So basically that's something you no longer need to worry about. So it gives you more combo points, no downtime on Savage Roar ever. I see that being useful in PvP, I see that being useful in single target PvE. Seems like a quite strong talent. Guardian Bristling Fur, passive. After using Enrage, the next attack against you will deal 50% less damage. I think Enrage is on about a 30-second cooldown. So that's going to be a great talent for if you're able to predict when you're going to take a big hit. Say for example, boss does Kill Bear, and every minute it'll do Kill Bear, which does 1,000,000 damage. Now you'll be able to use Enrage just before as he's casting Kill Bear, and it'll do 50% less damage. So it's going to be great if you can line it up properly, but if the damage is unpredictable, then that talent isn't going to be very good, because he could just use it on a melee attack, which is nothing, you know? But definitely a very good situational talent if you know when you're going to take a large hit. Restoration, Rampant Growth, passive. Swiftmend now consumes regrowth or rejuvenation but has no cooldown. Once again, not familiar with the trees, so I can't really say how good that is. But I guess that means Swiftmend no longer has a cooldown. Great. Awesome. Seems cool. So unfortunately I can't really touch on the resto, and I'll leave that to you guys to discuss on how good the resto talents actually are. But the other three seem awesome. I mean, the balance ones definitely seem the most interesting out of the three. They've got your crazy multi-dotting talent with Will of Malfurion. You've got your very strong single target talent with the Might of Malfurion. And then you've got Touch of Loon, which gives you kind of that extra splash damage with the Starfall and Sunfall. For Feral, Might of Malfurion seems to be the single target talent. Touch of Loon, more of the sort of multi-dotting AoE talent, and Will of Malfurion, the sort of stacked up, being able to cleave, kind of being able to spread your diseases in a very short range talent. Well, for Guardian, I'd say Bristling Fur for those sort of fights where you can predict the damage. Will of Malfurion for ever, and Touch of Loon if you are able to, you know, you're having too much rage and you're able to just consistently keep up that Absorb Shield. So I'd say Touch of Loon or Will of Malfurion will be the standard sort of Guardian talents that they take for most fights, and then Might of Malfurion being the situational one. And for the rest, I can't really say, but I'll leave that down to you guys to decide. So thanks for watching, guys. Look out for more of these videos coming soon. See ya!